perfect when it's just aqua blue, aqua blue.
Hey, Rhinestoners! Welcome back. This is episode 17 of Rhinestoned.
Rhinestoned.
Yes. I was so excited for this week. There's so much going on. What is happening?
Dude,
I was excited because I thought, oh, we'll just be talking about the Oscars. And then now there's so much more to dig in on.
I had to go back last night and cook up a little clip for our TikTok about that because I did just think it was so. I thought when we talked about the Taylor, and we'll get into it, but I thought when we
Yeah.
talked about the Bachelor of it all last year, I thought we talked about it for a nanosecond. We really got into that. We spent a good like 5 or 6 minutes talking about that.
About
So
her becoming the Bachelorette?
right. So to
Yeah,
have that come full circle, I was
of
like, oh,
course.
this is hilarious. I had to clip a little.
I mean, are we surprised? No, but we'll get to it. We'll get to it. First
Hmm.
up, though, did you watch the entirety of the Oscars? That is the question. Some of us watch parts, some of
No,
us watch the beginning. Are
no.
you a person that can get through the entire broadcast?
So I am a person who tapes almost everything.
Yeah. Oh, I love a record. Let's record.
I
Record,
don't
record,
think,
record.
oh my God, I said tapes. Whoops. Okay. I'm
I
ancient.
think the Rhinestoners know we're millennials. It's okay.
I no, I record everything. So I recorded it for the explicit purpose of being able to fast forward. Now, one thing I will say,
As one does.
I saw a lot of mixed reviews come out about Conan. I think I think if you don't get the whole Conan thing, I get it, right? Like I totally
Yeah.
understand because
He's
he's
a
not for everyone.
particular 100%. He's not
Every
like a
comedian is.
well, but he's also not like I would argue there are some of them that do appeal more
Yes.
widely because of their style of humor. And some of
Yes.
those people are fellow awards show
Nikki
hosts,
Glazer.
you know? But
Yes.
that's not Conan. No.
He's not broad. And I also think he's up there and to me what the shtick is like I can't believe I'm up here. uh this is all ridiculous, but I'm excited to be here, right? But these jokes are flying so far under the radar. I will say one of the ones that hit me was the Coogler joke where he was saying about how Ryan Coogler doesn't participate of being part of the Academy and he's like, "Yeah, not like all you pricks." I was like, "Yeah, because there's so many layers to that of like giving Kugler his props of not doing that, but kind of like ribbing him for doing it, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's just I thought it was
I
cool.
I think so. I love Conan. I always have. I think you're right. He is not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
I feel like why it's particularly hard for Conan in this moment is that the way I would describe his humor is that he is very silly and there is an
He is
element of
silly.
silliness. And I
Mhm.
think we are in the peak moment of there is no silliness left in the world. There just isn't. Like I just you make sure there is satire, there is sarcasm, there is cynicism, there is silly. It's hard to be silly in this climate, I think. It's
I'm
hard
going
to get
to
to that level, right? Like for me, silly is what goes beyond like you start out, you're being funny, you're telling joke, and then you move to silly, right? I just don't think anyone can handle that anymore because kind of like everyone's got to stick up their ass a little bit. You know what I mean? It's like the environment prevents it, you know? How can you
I
be silly in a
agree.
sea full of black and white?
I
Right? Like,
agree.
how can you, like, the mood is not allowing for silly.
For
Like, I would
um
have said, this is where I love Conan, okay? When they were doing the opening sequence, and then it was towards the end, I think, when he had Josh Groban come out, and they came and they put the king's coat on him and the crown that comes down halfway, to his head. And it's like, that was intentional because it's Conan. So he's like, yeah, like let's have it.
make it
I
fit
I
weird.
was when he put it on and it sunk down to the mid-level on his face, I burst out laughing. Like because it's just silly. It's like that's hysterical. But I just don't think I don't think it landed, really.
Okay, so two things. Two things. What about that? I'm going to Rhinestoners, I will repost to our TikTok, this TikTok that had me gagged, and it's exactly what you were saying. It's this guy, and he's like, some of y'all need some fucking whimsy in your life. Like, you need to figure out how to be whimsical. And I'm like, yeah, dude, like, preach. And then the second thing is Conan Court, to the silly part. I remember when I was in like middle, it must have been middle school, and it was Pete Conan, and he used to come out and do the hip. He used to put his hips on a string. Oh man, and we would be like in third period doing hips on a string because all of our parents would stay up late and watch late shows, and we were all doing that too for some reason. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Watching things that we
good.
shouldn't. So I think maybe I have a soft spot for him.
Yeah,
But I
fair.
think he's doing great. Year two, I thought he did great.
He looks great. And I mean, yeah, was it as funny as the last year? Probably not. But I also think
Time and place.
we're in very unfunny times
Exactly.
right now. Even to your point about Nikki Glaser, the climate that she led us through for the Golden Globes, night and day
Night
from
and day.
this past weekend.
Night
So
and
yeah,
day.
I do
Night and
think.
day. I don't know what happened, but something happened with the boys from Heated Rivalry. And I just want to put that out there. I don't know if they were flying too close to the sun
Oh, for sure.
and Hollywood, I think Hollywood brought them in a room and said, boys, I think it's really cute that you think that you could just like jump through or jump over all of these hoops, but no, 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 no.
You
There
do
are
not.
humiliation rituals to complete. First one, we're gonna give you the driest script ever for SNL to bomb your career. Connor, get up there, okay? Go do prop comedy in SNL. And then we're gonna put you on the Vanity Fair, like, carpet wearing these ridiculous outfits. Like, I just felt, I don't know. I think there's something going on there that
Oh, I think
feels.
they thought they slayed. I disagree. I think they probably had a hand in picking those outfits. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know if we're slaying. I don't know if we're
Well,
slaying. I
because
don't know.
look at peers in the space. Look at Odessa Ozine, who apparently is styling herself, I heard, which I don't really fully believe. But let's just go with that for a second. I think if that's the case, then it's like, okay, like they're doing the same. You don't think that they have that level of input where they're like, maybe not.
Fair. No
I don't know.
fair.
It goes both ways. I'm sure options are being brought to them, but I also feel like those two, to me, seem like they have strong opinions about their image, right? So I feel like they're still kind of. What
I
is
think
crazy, since you mentioned it, I read that the Vanity Fair party was massively slimmed down this year. They wanted to make it more
interesting.
exclusive, which meant some actual nominated actresses did not get to go.
No.
Apparently, Emma Stone did an interview where she wasn't invited.
Hilarious. Well, isn't that
Isn't that
interesting?
insane? Where it's like you don't, the actual nominated actress doesn't get to go, but Hailey Bieber does. I think
Yeah,
people should be talking more about this because I actually think this is a huge, huge signal of a lot of what we've been talking about, which is
okay.
and we'll get
Yes.
to it when we talk about Secret Lives of Mormon, but the entertainment industry has shifted so much in the last few
Mhm.
years that we are now in a world where influencers have more pull, more clout, more ability to get into what is regarded as the top Oscars after party than people who are actually nominated for the awards. And I think what message does that send to people in the industry? If you are a straight up actor, if you're a Timothy Chalamet, if you're someone who's trying to grow your career, give up. What's the point? Really, I find that insane. If you
Oh,
cannot even be welcomed into storied traditions, storied parties, and you're nominated, maybe you are better off going the influencer route. Emma Stone, give up. No one's watching Begonia anyways. Why don't you just start a TikTok?
100%. I'm gonna add to that. Want your reaction. Oh man. I know his first name, and then as soon as I went to go. Okay, yeah, no, I was right. I was right. I was right. Okay. Jake Shane. So same idea, right? So flip, not even the flip side of the same coin, more of the same is now these people who are also influencers are being interviewed on the red carpet by influencers because no one of a journalistic ilk is doing this anymore. So Jake Shane got a lot of heat coming out. I think he was covering, I want to say maybe the Vanity Fair red carpet. And yeah, he was just getting a lot. He's the podcaster, TikTok star and podcaster for therapists. But same idea, right? Where they're like, oh my God, these conversations, these questions, it's all, what were they calling? They call his type of podcast brain rot podcast,
Mm.
right? Where it's all just creating this brain rot content where they're just asking the most asinine questions of what are still artists, like some
Yeah.
of these, like these are still artists on the red carpet. These all aren't influencers, right? So I do think, yeah, there's something really weird happening. And then also, I guess we talked about this last week and I did praise her, and I honestly think it's because I have rose-colored glasses on when it comes to Kylie Jenner a little bit. I do love her, but it's the same idea that you're just saying of like the give up of it all. We're looking at that snippet that she had in that movie with Charlie XCX, and it's like, oh my God, she's great. And it's like, she's not great. She's I mean, she did the thing that she was there to do, but I also think as the people who are being cast are lower caliber actors, naturally, do you not think that will also dumb down the audience over
The
time as
audience already has
well?
been dumbed down. I mean, I
And
think
that's the
that now, like, when Ben Affleck and Matt Damon were doing the press tour for that Netflix film, they talked a lot about this, but I think people already were aware of this, of
rip.
like,
Did you see that?
yeah, I did watch it. But like, I don't think it was as great as everyone was
No.
saying. It was entertaining. It did feel like a Netflix movie. And I think that that's sort of what they talked about is like there's a specific formula that you are sort of required to stick to when you're making stuff for Netflix. And it is keeping in mind that they want scripts where it's not requiring a lot of people to follow
Mm-hmm.
along. They want
Mm-hmm.
scripts where people can check their phone, check their lap, whatever it is, every few minutes, and then still be able to follow along. And so I think there has been just like a gradual dumbing down. And I think even when it comes to the red carpet, to your point about, influencers interviewing influencers, I think for me, that's been like a really disappointing thing because these award shows have always been fairly boring, let's say, outside of maybe like the Golden Globes, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I have always enjoyed about it is the red carpet because it sort of combines two things that I love, right? It's like getting to see the fashion. And then in years past, it's been a while now, it did used to be a source of sort of like interesting tidbits about people that you liked, either people in the film that you enjoyed or actresses and actors that you follow, where
Certainly.
you would get these little stories or, these little anecdotes
Or
or,
even just intricacies about the outfit.
whatever it might be. And I think there's been a downgrading as well of like red carpet correspondence, right? And so the questions and the conversations that are happening are so basic, so not requiring you to pay attention, right? It is so surface level now because it's just like, oh yeah, and like blah blah blah. I mean, sometimes I'm watching these correspondents and I'm like, did you even think about these questions at all? Like some of them really feel like they are just full on winging it, and you can tell the difference because when you watch them versus some of like the E ones that are still around that do this as a career, wide difference. And so I think even that is sad. It's like the red carpet isn't as interesting anymore. One of the E correspondents, I saw a reel with her where she was sort of lamenting that in general things are becoming so hard because everyone wants to arrive closer to start time now.
So what? They can be at their after party or they can be done.
They just basically like they don't want to be there, the environment's changed. And essentially what she was saying is that all of these media outlets are losing money because
Yep.
it's not just it's not just, it's also all of these influencers, all of these sort of independent publications that are showing up. And she was making the point that like they spend a lot of money to get there. They have to have crew, they have to have production, they have to have the outfit for the correspondent. And
That's
what's
interesting.
happening now is she was even giving the example as she was like talking to someone at like it was like Glamour or someone that was next to her, in the press line. They're getting 2 to 4 interviews tops out of these red carpet experiences. And she
Yeah.
was like, that in and of itself is not sustainable. Like you
Yeah.
used to be able to go and bank hundreds of interviews, and now you're just sort of languishing. And it was funny because she was being so blunt and to say that like essentially the people that arrive on time no one cares, right? She was like, first you get the influencers. She's like, then you get the reality TV star, but the people
Uh,
that they care about, the people that really are going to sell whatever it is that people are trying to sell are now arriving in a 5 to 10 minute time crunch. So it does
Yeah.
just feel like collectively everything with the awards industry right now is a little out of sync. Feels like we're time for a reset, time to even maybe, I guess, examine the economics of it if no one's making money on that stuff. Like it's just,
Okay,
I
here's
don't know.
my
It's just
idea. Here's
like
my idea.
everything else, it's the natural degrading of everything that ever existed.
Well, and you know what it is though? Okay, and not to go too deep, but here's really what it is. It all comes back to the fact, in my opinion, that we live in a capitalistic society. Because
Oh
of
yeah.
that fact, we have so many amalgamations of the same idea, i.e., these media companies, right? Where we used to live in a more monoculture. And to your point, I honestly think to reset it, force it. Hey, Elton John, you don't get to do your party this year. No one's coming. Vanity Fair shut down the red carpet. We're going to do it at the biggest venue in LA that we can find. Obviously, you're going to have to make it secret so that no one knows where that venue is, right? But like we're going to force because do you remember in the 90s the days of people pulling up in the car, Demi Moore and Bruce
Yes.
sitting out and
Different level of
waving?
glamour.
We need to force that, and you have to. You have to say, "Hey, I don't know how, but there has to be maybe like the Warner Brothers of it all. Maybe there is a playmaker that is so big that he or she can shot call this
Yeah.
happening because I honestly think it would go a long way to save movies in general, right? Let's protect our artists. Let's put them back on a pedestal so that when their movie comes out, you do feel like, "Oh man, I want to show up. I want to go see that
Totally.
thing." Not, oh, I'll just, yeah. I mean, I'm saying what we all know, but oh, I would say, sorry, last thing. When Conan went after the CEO of Netflix and he started being like, I can't make money off of this. I mean, that you could
That
tell
hilarious.
there was this like underlying rage of like Conan
He had a
speaking for
couple of things like
everyone.
that where I was just like, we need more of that. I think that is also what's missing too from this moment. Is like you cannot be critical in that way. It feels you can't call out the very obvious, because and that's their uncomfortable laughter sort of validates that.
Oh man, that's so funny. Yeah. Yeah, he was really, I mean, him and his wife were like, they were stressed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
You see how
so
we've
I
done so much to avoid actually talking about the Oscars? Because that's how we feel about the Oscars.
well, there are some things from last week that I wanted to circle back on. I think that, one, I was happy to see a little bit more color show up. There
Yeah.
were definitely some looks,
Jesse
but
Buckley.
yeah, but I think there was still, a lot of black
Hesitancy.
and white and gray. And then I think, really the more concerning thing continues to be what we sort of hit on last week, which is it is just really disturbing seeing how thin I think some of these actresses are. And it's also really interesting when you see the comparisons too, right? Because some of the women that aren't taking these drugs or getting surgeries, when you see them at the Oscars and then like you're watching some of the ones that have, it like shine it like to me it makes it so distinct, right?
Oh yeah.
There was obviously the moment with the bridesmaids cast, right? Doesn't look like really any of them are doing anything actively to slim down. I mean, Rose Byrne is probably the thinnest of all. Well, maybe Kristen Wiig too, but I just don't get the feeling. To me, it's more of like age and all of that, right? But then you see that juxtaposed to like again Emma Stone. But I wanted to tell you the thing that really creeped me out was like it was like the day before, the day after the Oscars, I think. Page Six published an article that had some Hollywood stylists speaking out, sounding the alarm, saying that they are worried that their clients don't realize how thin they are, and that a number of them are actually below sample size now, which is a size 2. So they're having to make alterations to make dresses smaller. And there was another story within the article about like a recent event or something like that where they were working with a design house and how pretty much every dress had to be altered below the sample size for the women that were going to be wearing it. So I think this is like again really really disturbing and weird, this moment that we're seeing right now. Emma Stone was wearing this beautiful cap sleeve dress But I saw
Oh,
the
I
next
love that.
day people were sort of implying that it was a strategic choice because at one of the
Yep.
last award shows, you were able to see her clavicle bones and the cap sleeve was resting like just right on
Mhm.
where you would have seen the bone. And it's just
Mhm.
like, even to think that that could be true, that she's now intentionally, trying to hide
Covering it up.
it is really scary.
I
Then
think.
we're also seeing the return of spray tans as well, which is
Mm.
another indicator of how thin people have gotten. Because when you get that thin, you tend to look sickly, right? And so now you're seeing what is, oh God, I'm always blanking on her name. The model's daughter that's trying to be an actress.
Kaya Gerber.
Yes. She's tan to high heaven,
Oh,
okay?
isn't she? Ain't she though?
So I don't know.
Ain't she though?
It was a disturbing red carpet for a number of reasons.
Well, okay. And I know again that this a lot of what I'm going to say right now is you know it too. This Ozempic stuff, though, this is what it is, where it's a different form of an eating disorder, where you are suppressing your appetite to the point that you don't even know that you're hungry. You're just not eating. You're just walking around. And it's, if I'm Emma Stone, let's just say that she's on that, right? It almost is like, not excusing it away, but yeah, like the act of just not eating is almost better than the binging, the purging, right?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm just not hungry. I but it's like, yeah, but you're not hungry because most likely you're pumping yourself full of an appetite suppressant that now I've read has come out even this week is new. This it's called gastroparesis. So basically, it can paralyze your stomach from emptying, and so it
Hmm.
it takes a very long time for your stomach to, and it can mess up your stomach for a long time, if not permanently. So I also think too, it's like I wanna be delicate about it, but I'm not shocked. I'll say this. I'm not shocked that Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo ran around a year and a half ago, skin and bones, and no one said anything. Really. I mean, yes, we were all saying stuff, but mostly they were being praised. And I think that that gave a pass to everyone in Hollywood to do what they already wanted to do anyway, which was emaciate themselves. And I
Yeah.
think it was like, oh, you know
They're
what?
like, might as
If no
well.
one's even gonna roast me and I'm still gonna get roles,
I
I'll
just
just keep
I'm
beauty
just having
going.
like the toughest time in seeing it now everywhere I go. Like
It's
I was
weird.
out at a gay bar last night that like they often will project music videos on the walls, and a couple of them, Ariana, whatever, you're looking at, you're like,
Sure.
she looks so different.
Yeah.
So different. It's like a completely different person.
Yeah.
I also don't love what it says about aging. I saw someone comment that it's also interesting when you look at the Oscars carpet because the younger women, and again, it's sort of mixed, right? But there were some younger women there that you could tell were not really messing with themselves and had beautiful natural bodies. And I saw someone comment that, like, it seems to be that Ozempic is how a lot of the older actresses are tackling menopause weight. Rhinestoners, men and women alike. Hopefully, you know this. Women hit menopause, you tend to gain a bunch of weight. And it's hard to lose it, right? And so I think like even that, it's like there's just so many layers to this too, right? Like it's not just about, looking tight, or it's also the message it sends of like it's not okay to age, right? Like it's not okay
Well,
for the consequences of a long life, which is reaching menopause, right? So it's even, I don't know. This is like it's very bizarre.
well, okay, wait. Last thing from me. What I do think is delicious about all of this is that at least we live in a world now where it ain't all on the women. Because didn't Leonardo DiCaprio and his neck lift look great? We've
Wow, the
seen
glow up. People, I saw so many people that were like, I want whatever Leonardo DiCaprio.
To quote Erica Jane from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, sometimes you just need a needle and a thread. And
I
that is
mean,
so true because they stitched him up right. He was looking very taut. Good for him. We've
he
seen
looked
him
at
cross
least 10 years
masks.
younger,
Yeah,
honestly.
for a year. The recovery has been great. But yeah, I think it just shows that it's like this is real. There is a Hollywood. And listen, Sean Penn is still winning Golden Globes. So you can decide to age like a lady.
That I thought was bizarre. I mean, that's so to cover off, and to your point, can everyone tell how we're trying not to actually discuss the Oscars? But this was a very weird Oscars, I
Mhm.
felt, for a number of reasons. I didn't think there was
Uncanny
any
Valley.
sort of pattern or, reason that you could kind of suss out as to like why certain people won what. Having Sean Penn win when he's not even there, very strange. And also like really, really, he gave the best performance out of that category. Not buying it. I don't think anyone was surprised that your dear Timmy did not win. But also, what was he wearing? I saw someone do a side by side of him from a few years back when he was in that really super tailored white tux, and it was like the downfall of Timothy Chalamet will be studied because he looked like a
I
Backstreet Boy, like as opposed to years ago. Like I just so much going on.
Unfortunately, Rhinestoners, I'm calling it now. What is today? Let me just say it's March 20th. Yeah, we're seeing the end of Kylie Jenner and Timothy Chalamet. And that doesn't mean that there won't be a baby involved, but this is the demise because
I don't think his ego can survive not winning the
no.
Oscar.
And there is going to be someone in his ear, be it his mom or otherwise, that are saying the Kardashian Jenner curse is real. This is why your career is doing what it's
Totally.
doing. It wasn't doing this before. You're too deep into the culture. You need to go back to your artistry and to your roots. And honestly, that might be true. Like if what he wants is to be Viola Davis,
Yeah.
then you can't be dating Kylie Jenner. We don't
No.
know who Davis is when Viola Davis isn't making a movie. That's the thing about Viola Davis. That's why she can come on here with spit on her face and fences and bring the house down boots. You know what I mean? It's like
Totally.
that is, yeah. So I would say though, it's the same thing. This will be my seriously my last thing on the Oscars. It's the same thing as I was trying to say about the heated rivalry boys, which I don't even know what I'm really trying to say, but it is something where it's like I had heard this story. I don't know if it's true, but there was a pre for the SAG. I want to say the SAG Awards because that is all actors. There is a
Hmm.
pre-actors brunch that happens, and it's something where you glad hand, right? Timothy Chalamet allegedly came late. And when he came, he was talking to like, let's say Claire Danes, and he like ate a carrot off of her plate. Okay. So this is like a Dumois story that's been going around of like
A cookie. It was a cookie.
a cookie.
Wait, and I didn't think it was Claire Danes. I
No,
thought
I know. Who is it? I just
it,
made that up because I didn't know who it was.
it's the I'm totally blanking on her
I
name.
know.
The amazing Ryan Murphy actress who is with that older lady.
Oh my God. Sarah Paulson.
It was Sarah Paulson. This is a Sarah
Okay.
Paulson story.
And you know if Sarah Paulson is telling a story like that,
Then
it's
I mean, come
true.
on. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So that
Yeah.
also gives you a little bit of insight into the academy is made up of your peers and industry alike, right? And you maybe yeah, there is maybe he got a little too big for his britches type of thing.
Oh,
I
I
don't
think
think it's going
so.
to ruin
And
his
I
career.
think he's now been sufficiently knocked down a peg.
I think he has, and I think he'll be fine. It's no mystery to me why literally not 12 hours after getting roasted at the Oscars, the Dune 3 trailer dropped. He said, "Yeah, I am Paul Atreides. Do not fucking forget." And me and my
He'll be
husband are like,
fine. He's young. I'm sure he'll find a way to persist on our
"He'll be
despite.
fine." What's next?
Well, this has been quite the week for our reality Salt Lake, Utah, Bachelorette Nation universe
Wow,
because
hasn't it?
Taylor Frankie Paul's Bachelorette run has come to a incredible screeching halt.
Before
Rhinestoners.
it even started, you
Before it
gotta
even
give it to her.
started. Yes, Rhinestoners, as I know you are already aware because it is hard to escape. People are talking about this on the streets of New York City everywhere I go. I was at a museum yesterday. The girls, behind in the bookstore are talking about it. Everyone in Utah is talking about this. It is quite the topic, but are we surprised? The headline being that basically some of her past domestic violence, dispute, whatever you want to call it, incidences have now surfaced. And pushed APC to cancel the season before it has even aired. I think they did air before The Rose, which I did watch half of just because I was curious. Um But let's start with this. Do you really think this isn't going to see the light of day?
No.
Is this going to the vault, or are we gonna see this when maybe things die down a little bit?
Here's what I think, to be quite honest with you, not knowing anything. I bet you knowing, okay, because you and we work on the inside of these things sometimes. Not so much Hollywood, but definitely have we been in an editing booth for a brand video? Yeah, I know I have. I want to also say maybe this, we're assuming there's 21 episodes or something, and we
Yeah.
are making the assumption that they had all 21 episodes banked, ready to go, edited in the I don't know. I think if I'm ABC and I'm pulling it, and this is just me making this up, but I've thought a lot about this. Perhaps they were getting the feedback from that editing team anyway that like this is tough. Like we've edited together 3 episodes so far ready for launch. It's freaking hard. She jumped out of the limo episode 1 wearing Uggs and a long like she
Yeah.
doesn't
But it has
care.
to be fully over because she started the press tour this week, right? So, in terms of like completing it, I
But
do
we
think
know that
it
they
has to
don't.
be complete, you
But
know?
no, I disagree. I don't think so because of the fact that I know, for example, for Summer House, they are still editing on the fly.
Yeah.
Those your screeners
Oh,
go.
editing, yes. Sorry. I thought you were saying that maybe they didn't make it to the end of filming.
No, I'm saying editing. I'm saying what I'm thinking is that they've edited first 3 episodes, right? They've given them to corporate whatever, but that in general, maybe a note came with that was like these were really hard to edit together. We're staring down the barrel of 20 because what I'm saying is everyone has come out on TikTok and said it's $2 million an episode. Can you believe that they threw
Yeah.
away 30 million? And what I was thinking is like, but maybe they haven't thrown away 30 million yet. Maybe the reason why this is an easy decision for them is because they threw away 6 on the first 3. The
Yeah.
rest,
I don't think the money is in the editing. The money is in the production, right? Like
yeah, that's
that's
fair.
what you're spending the money on. Editing is, editing. Like that's not AI could do that now. Like if they really wanted to let it.
I don't
I
know. I
I
think it's weird that I do, to your point of like, will we see it again? It's like, I don't know because I don't know how much ABC is invested in this. And they're going to want to get their return on investment.
I think we
Somehow,
will see it again because I think eventually, look, they're canceling it right now because there is no way that they can move forward with airing it in the current moment, right? Like it's
TV and
become
all, of course.
become too much of a story. There's too much pressure. There's too much chatter. There's too much, why did you cast her this? And
Yeah.
why are we moving forward that? I feel like it will still get aired because, to your point, they made a significant investment in this.
Hmm.
I think that we now have to let what has happened play out in the court of public opinion, meaning there are going to be people that ultimately still, or even now, are siding with her and sympathizing with her and viewing her as the victim in this situation. And I think ABC probably just knew that they have to let that ride a little bit before they can jump to airing it, right? Like I could see a world
That's fair.
in which now we have to deal with the fallout, right? Like what happens next? Like there's a lot of questions that once they're answered, I think will give a clearer picture of whether or not it will be aired. So one of them, rumors are that filming is down on Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, right? Amid this incident. Will that resume? Right? Like, will that pick back up again? Apparently, the other women are refusing to film with Taylor. They're uncomfortable. They band together and said, no, we want to take a break. Okay, what happens with that? Right? Like, if that all gets back on track, potentially I could see a world in which, they're like, okay, let's start airing this thing. Right now, I think it's like a lot of people it's rumored that Dakota is the one that's leaking this, but
Yeah.
then maybe it was TMZ. I mean, I think there's more to that story. Like once we find out why this all came up when it came up, like I think that could be another thing. One thing I had heard, I was, my boyfriend was the one that even told me that all of this broke because I was out yesterday. And his point, which I've seen other people, like other lawyers say, is that ABC definitely knew about this video. Um,
That's what I want to talk about.
Yeah, but that because people believe that to be true, there is a feeling that there is worse coming.
Hmm.
And that's ultimately what is pushing ABC to make this decision right now. That like they were aware of all this other stuff and that was like whatever, and they were prepared to still move forward with her knowing that, but that there is something else that has yet to be, sort of revealed or released or uncovered. And that's the thing spooking them. That's the thing that's making them actually like pull it off of the air. So
Yeah.
only time will tell on that. I think that is a plausible theory, right?
Well,
But
okay.
we won't
For
know
me,
unless, yeah, plays
unless
out
it
a
airs.
bit more.
For me, I do want to be scathing for a second, okay? Because I honestly do feel this was such a bad idea from the very beginning. We said it last year. I've seen a lot of people on TikTok, a lot of people who are obviously in a parasocial relationship with Taylor Frankie Paul and think that they are best friends with her, say things like, that was 2023. She's done so much work on herself. She's talked about this openly on the show. She admitted to this, she in the court of law. You guys, okay. 2023 was 2 years ago, dependent upon when 2023 and this happened. I don't know if it was January, but if it was December, then it's 2 years ago, not
Yeah.
three. Okay. And in that time she was pregnant and having a
Yeah.
baby. So you're going through postpartum, you're going through hormone shifts. There's no way that Taylor, I'm sorry, and this is the part where I am gonna like be scathing. There's no way in the last 2 to 3 years she's done all of this work on herself. Bullshit. She's been pregnant. She's been
Yeah.
chasing Dakota around. She's been, in and out of buying houses, moving here. This idea that she's been going to therapy and really like sitting, no, and we can see that evidence on the show where she's
Do people
still,
really believe that? Like,
it's,
I
and
don't
it's
even.
so annoying to see people take up arms for her, like as if this, if this was a man, I'm sorry, I will go here, but if this was a man, this would be such a different conversation
Well, I am
about.
seeing a lot of like domestic violence victims say that it's clear from the videos that have leaked that I can't remember what the phrase is, but that basically her abuse is in response to
Yes,
abuse.
reciprocal.
Yes. So
I've seen that too.
I do think that that very well could be the case, but I feel like
Mhm.
to your point, I don't think that Hulu, ABC, the whole thing, I don't think that they moved forward with her as the Bachelorette because they thought that she had fixed herself. I think they moved
Yeah,
forward with her as the Bachelorette to get ratings, right? I think
right.
that was the whole point. I think that's why even now you do have to question whether this entire thing is planned.
Oh my God.
Because we all know the Bachelor, the Bachelorette is struggling. People have lost interest, right? At the end of the day, ABC and Hulu are both owned by Disney. Okay. So
Mm,
even though they're separate companies, they're owned by the same parent company, right?
mm.
I find it so hard to believe. Like, I've been seeing these memes. It's like, oh, the casting director at The Bachelorette right now, like as if that person is getting fired or they're in trouble. I just feel like that's such a stress right now. I think this whole thing was calculated. I think it is very possible that it is ABC that is leaking this at this moment. And I understand that the reason that would be hard to believe is because obviously this is blowing up her life, la di da di da. But if you have a franchise that is already struggling in ratings, like what better plot than what is unfolding right now? We are all talking about this show that a
Oh my
lot of
God,
us don't that a lot of us don't even watch, and that now they're not even going to air, which like I think is a way to create demand, right? Like I think the way they're hoping this is going to spin is that people are going to be like, you have to air it. We still want to see it. Like we don't care, like almost so that people are like clamoring for it. Because one thing my boyfriend and I were talking about is like, we saw the previews. I want to see it. It, to your point about the editing, it's off the rails. Like the clips that they have shown
Oh my
are
God, no,
insane. Okay,
no.
like the one of her giving back the roses and all of that. Like I think that this entire thing could actually just be orchestrated by ABC in the first place.
Okay, wait, I want to go one layer deeper. We know, we know that The Bachelor and Bachelorette for a long time is predicated on the idea that you're going to bring in 20 virgins I remember Pilot Pete's season. Okay. By
Pilot
the end, he's got two 22-year-old girls, literally girls, who have written him like these notes that are like, I just want you to be my first. And it's like, meanwhile, like Pilot Pete is dick down like half of Austin. You know what I'm saying? And for a long time, I think we've seen like pushback. I know I listened to this podcast called Bachelor Party with Callie Curry, um, where they talk about this, right? Where it's like it's so based on purity culture. And
Yeah.
this is the layer deeper, where it's like to your point, I don't know. Maybe ABC was like, give them what they want. Give them the mess. Let them see. Let them see how it all plays out so that when we come back with the 23-year-old virgin in
People
2027,
will be happy about it.
everyone's going to be like, yay, we're back to the original format. Because we also know the people at the helm of ABC are in the pocket of the people who would prefer it to be
Yeah.
back to original formatting. Okay. So that's deep and very like convoluted, but I also think like to your point, there could be a million reasons for ABC doing it in the first place
Yeah.
and then pulling it subsequently, right?
That's what's hard. There's so many different
We'll never
variations
know.
of like which part of this could have been controlled, right? And I think
Here's the thing that
it
I
could be
will
all of
say.
it. It could be just a part of it. It could, I think only
I
time
was
will
taken
tell.
aback. I was taken aback. Here's what okay. I want your reaction on this too. Uh, this whole thing from the ABC side felt weird for me when I saw the promo photos come out because she's wearing this like Jessica McClintock
Yeah.
2003. Her hair is barely done. I also felt like, to your point, right? Like, I don't know, like, let her be a mess. Like, we're not even gonna get a wardrobe. Like, let her take her own dresses. Like, when that promo photo came out, I thought to myself, like, oh my God, did we not even give her hair and makeup?
Well, but
Like,
that's what I'm saying about being orchestrated because, okay, for Rhinestoners, for any of you who are watching the current season of Secret Lives of Mormons, or maybe you finished it like me, to me, watching the current season was the biggest signal that they were in on it that one could possibly have. And here is
okay,
why. There are multiple things that happen throughout the season where, you know, it's almost like breaking the fourth wall, right? Like, is it the third wall or the fourth?
no, the fourth wall,
Breaking the
fourth
fourth wall.
wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right.
They show on the show all the things that she is doing leading up to leaving for the Bachelorette. Okay.
Right.
And it gets increasingly crazy as it goes on. So a month and a half out, she sleeps with Dakota. There's a big cast discussion about that. What are you doing? Gross. She sleeps with Dakota the night before she is supposed to leave for the Bachelorette. And it's not just that she sleeps with him, the entire episode centers around the fact that then the next day, her mother and her sister show up to take her to the airport because they are coming with her on this excursion to help take care of her kids. And she will not get out of bed and go with them. They get to the airport and the other ladies are there waiting with signs to send Taylor off. And Taylor's not there to see the signs because she's still back. Okay. When they started showing that to me, I was like, there's no way that what is happening right now is not something that ABC was aware of to an extent. Because again, these companies, these production teams had to be in sync, had to be talking to each other. That's how she got the gig in the first place, right? It's the same way, it's the same connection that got them the Dancing with the Stars spot, okay? This is a family, right? This is a family of companies. You don't think that Bachelorette production is hearing she missed the flight. She missed the flight. Okay. So yeah, like they don't care and they don't care about showing us this as an audience. And I think that's the part where it's like there's so many people right now that are like up in arms that she was picked as the Bachelorette. And there's a lot of commentary that's like, see, this is why you shouldn't have chosen her because blah, 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 blah. And to me, I just find that to be like the weakest of the takes here because everyone knew going into this what this was and what this wasn't. So to me, it's just like a weird point to make. They wanted her for this messiness, exactly as you were saying. Like, this was the draw. Is like, we're going to be raw, we're going to be unfiltered, we're going to pick someone that has, struggles, and we're just going to show all of that in the hopes that we can finally deliver better ratings for this show. I think the ratings aspect of it is what everyone has lost sight of in this conversation. That's why I am sure if they did plan on canceling this, there is a bigger plan coming. I do not believe that ABC is just going to give up on all of that revenue. There's no way.
Okay, but
That's a
Nicole,
huge hit.
it does speak to something. Okay. Okay. This will be my bow on it. Bravo gets a lot of heat, right? Because of the fact that everything that we've always said about Bravo is true. In some of the clips that we've talked about, is it shoot until they go to jail type of thing, okay? One of the things that I think is important, though, is that the misery on these shows are their own making. I mean, you could even look at Summer House. You could even look at Sierra, right? It is Sierra's choice to date Wes. It is Sierra's choice to enter back into this relationship with him if that's what she's going to do. So the misery that will come and the egg on her face
Yeah.
that will land because of that is her own decision. Bravo lives in a sphere of, I don't know how many millions of people watch Bravo, right? But like there's a cap, and Andy Cohen and the Bravo network are happy commanding that cap of millions of people. Now, of course, do they do things marketing wise to try to get a larger audience? Obviously, of course, right? But to your point, there is something. I think a lot of the criticism around Bravo can be like, oh, well, ickiness, right? Like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. But this is more sinister. This is more icky. This is getting someone, one person, right? Not Summer House is a cast of people, and they lean on each other, and they
Yeah.
and they like this is taking one person that and I'm gonna be graphic when I say this. It's like in a couple of years, if something happens to Taylor Frankie Paul, like shame on all of these people, like shame on them for thinking that this very fragile woman could withstand the wrath of, you're not talking about you're talking about ABC. This
Yeah.
is millions upon millions upon millions of people. And then you take something like The Bachelor, which has been on for like 20 years, that has this crazy rabid fan base that is going to come after her, make death threats because they're seeing her accidentally maybe hit her daughter in this video that has come out, right? It's not just her going after Dakota.
Yeah.
So it's like they're literally going to like I'm not trying to say I feel bad for Taylor Frankie Paul, but to your point, this was orchestrated. They used this woman. Talk about exploiting and being exploited. Whitney exploited an opportunity. Taylor
Yeah.
Frankie Paul has been exploited by this
Oh my
opportunity.
God. And actually, even to that point, to go back to what we're seeing on the current season, you are so right, because the whole way the other women are coddling her and trying to protect her so that they can deliver her to the Bachelorette experience. It's almost every single episode where it's like, let's not tell Taylor this because we need to get her over here. Let's not, so you have all of these people around her that are, instead of
Preying
saying
on her downfall.
well, not even that. I mean, I think I do actually believe that the women have the best intention in what they're trying to do. But I think, to your point, instead of taking a step back and saying, hey, as a friend group, this is someone that probably is not in the position to carry a franchise right now. Instead, it's like, how can we patch her together so that she can still get there and fulfill the obligation, right? And so I think you're right in that, like, there's a complete lack of protection at this point in the entertainment industry because of this new environment that we are in with influencers, right?
Yeah.
And I think, this is just a theory, I think that the people inside of these more traditional media companies are almost taking a laissez-faire approach when it comes to these stars versus stars of the past, right?
Yes.
Meaning, like, I
An
think they
ex
know on
NFL
their
football player.
well, not only that, I think they know on their scripted television shows that they cannot get away with treating people this way or exploiting people in this way or, saying, hey, you still need to go do that scene, even though whatever, because there's protections in place. There's all of these
Yes.
things, right? Like with
Yes.
their actors and their actresses. But I
Yes.
do think with the reality TV stars, it's like, oh, that's what they're here to do anyways.
Right.
We don't need, like, the
Right.
mess is
They're
why
used to
she's
this.
I mean, but literally, the mess of her life and the mess of herself is why she got the Bachelorette in the first place.
Absolutely.
So who would be there helping her or protecting her? It's like they almost need to deliver her as a mess in order to ensure that she's giving them what they wanted all along, you
And
know?
you know what? And you know what I really want to say? And this is like to put a bow on this whole fucking thing. The only reason any of this has ever happened anyway is because this woman is skinny. Like, let's also just boil this down to
To go back
fucking
to our
brass
thinness
tacks.
conversation.
No, I'm serious. It is because she's not gorgeous. She's not the
No.
most striking person you've ever seen.
Even
The whole
I feel like I'm in like a crazy land
no.
this week having to hear the interviews where they're saying what an amazing personality she has.
No, she doesn't have a great personality. She's not striking. The whole thing is it's Betty Draper in the kitchen. Okay, I can't believe you had two babies. It's that. It's the whole thing that this woman has birthed three children, okay, and yet has maintained a 24-inch waist and hair extensions down to her booty, and she puts her body on display on TikTok, and that's honestly, I think, a little bit a part of this too. If, like, all I'm trying to say is if Taylor Frankie Paul was 20 pounds heavier,
This
she
wouldn't
would
be.
not be our bachelorette.
No, I agree.
If she was a size 6, we wouldn't even be thinking about this woman. The reason we're thinking about her, it's like she's the manic pixie dream girl.
Yeah.
That is her personified. She is this like, oh, she's crazy and little and skinny and hot. Let's get her. And it's like, oh my God, but you guys, she's a mother of three who is
Yeah.
very, very fragile. And you better hope that you do give her some sort of psychological help after this, because if not, that's shame on, again, I go back to shame on ABC and shame on everyone involved.
Well, I think to lens out though, what is really crazy about this moment is how like again, it was all designed this way, right? And I think like with the season currently airing and some of the other things coming out about some of the other women, it is sort of a reminder that this entire thing started off of a scandal and someone at Hulu recognizing an opportunity in it, right? And I
Stop
think like
swinging.
now you're seeing sort of the rise and downfall of all of these women. So I think it was announced yesterday that Jordan is filing divorce now from Jesse. We see her crying on this season because she's discovered that there was no witness to their prenup, and she's
Mhm.
realizing that he is basically, able to take half if he chooses.
She will.
We're not even going to have married couples on this show anymore, which was initially part of the appeal to an extent, right? I mean, I don't think anyone was ever watching for dad talk, but like mom talk, it implies that they're moms, right? Like they're married, that was the whole thing. Now we have so many of them broken up from their previous partners. Like, I just think this show is probably going to end soon because where do you go from here? If they're
Well, this is
refusing to
also
film with Taylor, if dad talk is divided because most of them have been left by their wives, like, it just is so sad, I think, really, when you think about like, would they all have just been better off if none of this would have happened? Because it is interesting, right? Like it for some of them, it's brought them fame and opportunity beyond their wildest beliefs. Like Whitney's probably the best example of like someone who's doing the best out of this, right? But for the rest of them, I don't know. Are their
yeah, what are
lives
you
going
gonna
to be
do?
better at the end of this, or are they going to be worse?
Well, and here's another thing too. I think it's important when you're weighing these things to think about, is the juice worth the squeeze, as far as, let's say, Karen Huger, right?
Yeah.
Karen Huger is now Karen Huger, but I don't have Kim Kardashian security money. And I'm not saying that people are going to be running off the streets to like get Karen Huger's autograph. I'm not saying that. But if I live in Potomac for the rest of my life. Pretty much everywhere I go, people are going to be looking at me, people are going to be staring at me, people are going to know who I am. And that's another thing that I do, to your point, like, is it all worth it? That you could have remained somewhat anonymous doing the Montauk thing on TikTok, monetizing the hell out of that, making money, living good in Utah, right? But
We
then
wouldn't
you
have
make
known
that
these level of
jump.
details.
We wouldn't have and you wouldn't have had the ability to now, like, if we take the Afflecks, right, where if I go travel to Kansas, the potential for someone coming up to me in the airport now is real, right? And that's
Yeah.
just annoying to know that, like, I gave up my anonymity for what, to your point, is going to be probably a stain on my life. It's not, I'm going to be recognized forever for something that I would rather not be associated with anymore. And so I do think when it comes to reality television, you gotta, I don't know who I'm talking to when I'm saying this, but yeah, you gotta really think like, it's not, and here's another thing too, it's no mystery. Some people are like, Kyle Richards on Real House. It's because, yeah, her face is already out there. Kyle Richards already has to deal with being Kyle Richards. So why not make $150,000 an episode every
Yeah.
year? Why not?
Yeah.
what,
Yeah. She
what do
doesn't
you mean?
care.
I'm going to turn down that money? I'm already
Plus
Kyle Richards. It makes sense for me, right?
playing
But to go from
50%.
completely anonymous to exploited, I don't know. Rough.
It's sad. I think this season did make me uncomfortable just because a lot of them don't seem to be doing very well. And I think the show has contributed to a lot of their individual issues that they're dealing with, or it's compounded them.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be very interesting to see how all of this plays out. But yeah, if I had to put money on it, I think we'll see that Bachelorette season at some point for sure.
Also, to lens out too, I think it's a bigger commentary. We could talk about this forever, and I know we want to get going, but it's a bigger commentary on, like, this is mostly why you probably don't want to get married at 21 too. You're doing
I said that the other night. I was like, the main thing that I feel watching this season is that they're all crying about all these different things. And if you just lens out, the issue is that they had kids. Like
you
that's
got kids
really,
too young.
but they're
You got
like,
kids way too
they're
young.
sort of like dissecting it in different ways. And it's like, I think what you all just keep saying is that you kind of wish you weren't moms. So,
There's this story from when my husband and I were first dating where we were like, I don't know, like ribbing each other and like trying to get into each other's, like, I won't go into it. But anyway, so I'm telling this story because it all leads to one of the people that we were ribbing each other about showing back up in our life later, right? And so I was telling a group of moms kind of this story, and I could see their faces were like shocked. They're like, "You were ribbing each other about that? Like you were talking about that?" And I was like, "Yeah, like, I don't know, that's what you do when you're that age. You're just crazy and you're just in love and you're just whatever." They're like, "Well, how old were you when you met your husband?" I was like, "I was 22." All of them, like, all of them kind of fell out because in their mind, when I'm telling this story about me and my husband in our crazy early dating days, they think this is 4 years ago because all of them got married 4 years ago. All of
you're
them are
thinking it's like in your
39.
20s.
And they're looking at me like, "You and your husband were this toxic at 34?" And I'm like, "No, like, no, like, I've been with him since I was 22. We got married at like 27. You know what I mean? Like, there was a long dating." But I say all of that to say that there are even times that I feel like I was a child bride,
Yeah.
you know? And I got married
Totally.
at 27. I got married when my frontal lobe was fully developed. But even I look back and think like, "Oh my God, like, I was so young, and through the lens of others, I was young. Like, through the
Yeah.
lens of most of the people I know, I was young." So
Totally.
it's just, I say all of that to say there's no rush. There's just no rush. I feel 27 and beyond is like the perfect time to start thinking about your forever. These women were 22. They were
Or
23. Most,
and
no,
a
I'm
lot of
sorry. No,
them
one
had
was
kids
19.
younger. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one was 14. One met her husband when she was like 15 years old in the church. So this is like trauma, dude. This is
That's
like,
why they're just they're all just with the wrong men because yeah, it's sad. Very sad. Well, transitioning over to the Bravo universe because we are picking up on Bravo. I feel like we have some things ending, we have some things beginning. You still need to watch Ladies of London
I
because
know.
watch it for next week. We're Rhinestoners. We will talk about it next week.
I'm
Honestly,
sick because,
Ladies of London is giving way more than all the other shows combined.
okay, I'm sick in the head because you know what I did? Watch What Crappens, which just won an iHeart radio
Oh,
award. And I'm
good
so
job,
excited
Andy.
because I love you guys. I love Ron and Ben. Okay, anyway, Ronnie and Ben. They are recapping Ladies of London, so I listened just because I love
No.
it so much. And so, to your point, fascinating. I definitely will go back and watch it because I found the recap to be absolutely captivating.
Yeah, you have to. I think we should definitely talk about it. Next week maybe we'll talk about all the current.
Talk about it. Okay.
Yeah. Dive
Okay.
deep. But I still personally feel that Summer House is a yawn of a season. I
I
do
don't know,
think
man.
that this week's episode obviously did make headlines because of a conversation that actually happened at the very end of the episode, interestingly enough.
Yeah.
Um, and so without that, I don't really think we would have even been diving deep into this week's episode because outside of that conversation, I'm struggling to even think about what else happened. Maybe oh, I think there was some discussion between Amanda and Kyle about like the DJ stuff that was interesting. But anyways, now that I think we have KJ in the house and Sierra's new friend, like there was a deeper race conversation that came up at the end of the episode that I did find really interesting in that I think it was good for the white cast members to sit there and listen and sort of understand, how it might be a lot easier for them to navigate this experience. That being said, we are 10 seasons in, and the
No.
fact that this conversation just now happened and then became news,
Like you guys.
there's something about it that just rubbed me the wrong way.
Same.
And
Same.
then I watched Watch What Happens later that night, and Andy was talking about it and was like, "Oh, and don't you love how all the white people just shut the fuck up and listened?" Like,
Uh-huh.
and my point being that, like, even Andy was trying to make it like it was some feather in the cap of Bravo
Right.
that they had this like
Uh-huh.
rape conversation. Like, I'll be honest, I didn't find it to be that thought-provoking. Like, and
No.
I don't mean that as any offense to what Sierra and KJ were actually putting down on the table. It's very valid and raw and vulnerable of them to have shared that. But I do feel like that's something that the rest of the people at that table should have already been aware of.
It
And so
was like
for me, it
it
just
was like
highlighted how much they don't think about those things. And I think
it
that
was
was the
like
part that was more disturbing about it is like some of them were actually acting as if like that had never occurred to them before, right? And I just feel like it just felt
it
off.
was it was okay, I have two things to say. It was the hooked on phonics version of a race conversation. It was like the
It was the
intro.
Chat GPT version of it.
Thank you. It was 101. That's exact and then the articles to come out like the most important conversation, you guys. We're talking, we're literally sitting at the table saying your experience is different from my experience. Yeah, duh. Of course. If you don't understand that as a white person, that you move through this world with privilege, a white person on Bravo who's being paid by it's absolutely ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I obviously commend Sierra and KJ and Maya for even having the conversation, for even bringing it up. It is nothing on them. It's just that I completely agree with you where I was like, honestly, and here's how I feel. The more interesting conversation was what West was saying. And not because what West was saying was right, and not because we should feel sad for West that he was getting death threats about the racism, okay? But that was the more right conversation. What should have happened at that table is West saying to Sierra, well, on my side, I experienced like this, and then Sierra diving deeper with West into that about why that doesn't fucking matter.
But to your point, that again was what stirred me about it because I have already never really loved West or Sierra, anyways, in their whole relationship,
Ever.
right? But I think that to your point, the fact that they have not had that conversation
Yeah, that's what I'm
up
saying.
until
Let's have
now,
that one.
but that's so reveal. Like to me, it's just like I don't want them to have it anymore at this point. Like
Fair.
we are so
Fair.
far past the point of like they should have had that conversation. I think for
Yes.
as a viewer, that's the part that's making me feel very uncomfortable. Sierra is still having to bring up what that New York Times article did to her because they never spoke about it, right? And like that's the part, we've been having a lot of conversation about how
Anita.
this season is very revealing of how much they all are not really friends. Okay. And that's like, forget friendship. We have an instance where two people are on a show together and have spent the entire last year not discussing something that happened after the last season. Like, it's weird. And it makes it really hard to feel any sort of sympathy in a way for either one of them at this point because it's like, either Sierra needs to have an expectation that Wes should have come and had that conversation with her, and if since he hasn't, she needs to just be done with him, right?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
she should bring the conversation to him at this point.
Absolutely.
But to me,
Absolutely.
it's like we're just dragging it out longer and longer so then we can have this like half-assed conversation about it. Like, I don't
Well,
know.
also, I think that we should have a conversation around the idea and the fact that, like, West is working at Complex Magazine. You are a bit of a culture vulture. Like,
The
that
whole
is
aesthetic is
kind of
like,
like why like we're saying the same thing in that if we're gonna have that conversation, then let's have a real conversation that would actually create some friction and actually create some different views coming out at that table, not just Amanda ending the whole thing with I just think that we all should realize that we have, well, no shit, Amanda, come on, like, duh, obviously, I don't know, like, that you're saying a bunch of nothing. I think the conversations that were happening on since now I don't know what happened to the show, but the Martha's Vineyard show, which was featuring pretty much an all
which I did watch, and that has come up again in the dialogue this week as well.
like,
Just
where what happened to that? Those people were having much more interesting conversations when it came to Ray. It's like, well, yeah, because it's an all black. Well, it was person of color. I do think that there were other.
I mean,
I
but
don't want to
again,
say them all
ratings
black,
is
but
what
yeah,
did that. I
yeah,
think
that's
that
fair
went
too.
in like
That's fair
I don't
too.
know. I do feel bad for Sierra that it took the arrival of KJ and Maya to have this conversation. I think it's really weird. I am very happy that KJ and Dara are dating in real life, so I just want to say
I know what
yeah,
little cuties they are.
so
And
cute.
it just shows you too that, you know, I think that there's a lot that we consume about dating. And listen, I'm married, so, but it's like that we're all doomed. And I think that seeing that on screen was so great to see of like, you guys, that a lot of the time is how it happens. Like when you find your person or find a person that you want to get into a relationship with, it is just kind of like you zone in on each other. You
Yeah,
get that feeling. It's easy. It's so clear to me that like upon their first meeting, they were so jazzed to be in each other's presence. And because of
totally.
that, KJ locked it down. And
Yeah,
like, I guess I'm speaking more specifically to men, that there are still men in this world who will lock it down when they,
yeah,
and be and show up in the way that they, and I'm not saying that that means that KJ has shown up that way for all of the women. I'm sure that there are
yeah.
many women who have KJ stories. I'm just saying.
He's so giddy when he talks about her. It's really cute. I also was really irritated that I personally believe Ben completely switched his tone on Bailey purely because she was a good kisser. I felt like he was trying to make it seem
Ain't
like
that the truth?
actual remorse had somehow creeped up
Ain't
on
that the
him.
truth?
And I don't think that's what happened. I think they kissed during Kiss in the Bottle. He felt a little bit of a spark and then immediately felt like an idiot for being such an asshole to her, which makes him gross. I was so happy after that scene when Bailey said that she no longer has any interest in him, as you should. Disgusting.
Think it's really funny that he's bringing this. So the episode one, I went on Ben's Instagram to see who this person was and saw his girlfriend. Episode one, he has been very open, and so now to bring his girlfriend on and see that they've been together probably like a year and a half or 2 years at this point, it's like, Ben, I am only annoyed with that because last year there was another Bailey on the show who got edited out because of the fact that supposedly the story was she had a boyfriend and that she wasn't honest about that. And so it was kind of like she was trying to appear This is what Ben is doing, and Ben isn't getting edited out. So where's the line? If I'm a hot Aussie guy, I get to play this game, but if I'm a cute little girl from Brooklyn, I don't. I don't like that. Then like Bailey shouldn't have gotten edited out last season.
Yeah,
So
it's weird.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
And then with Kyle and Amanda, I think the thing that is frustrating me the most at this point, watching them fake the end of their relationship, is just how obvious it is that they never explored going to therapy with any kind of consistency. They just are basically on two different pages. I actually feel bad for Kyle sometimes. I can't believe I'm saying this, purely because I think in his warped head, he is just doing things to help them stay afloat financially and is unable to see why the things he's choosing specifically to do to get that money are rubbing her the wrong way. It's not to say that I think he is mature enough to have navigated that experience and come out the other end willing to give up being a DJ. I think the conclusion would probably have been the same, but I think someone could have helped them actually connect on what the issue is, which from Amanda's perspective does make sense, right? And I think she tried to articulate that this episode and he wasn't getting it about like, I didn't marry a DJ. I think man or woman should understand that if you enter into a relationship with someone who has a normal-ish job, 9 to 5, even just being on Bravo is a wildly different experience than your job being every night going out at very specific hours because nightlife is at night, okay? And being gone from the home. Like you're going to bed and your partner is out partying with people. Or even if he's not partying, he's helping people party, right?
Well,
That
I don't
is
know.
totally valid for her not to want to be signed up for that. But I think that they could have had like a meet in the middle conversation where she could have been more understanding of why he's doing it. And maybe they could have found a way through.
I agree.
So to me, it's just like, that's where like their whole marriage is just like I find it really hard to have sympathy truthfully for either of them because I just don't think they wanted it to work.
I don't think that they actually really wanted to make it work because of the things that I'm not hearing. When Paige was breaking up with Craig last year, there was a lot of crying, contemplating.
Is
I
this the
could
right
tell
thing?
she was going through it. She was like, I do like that dick.
Yeah.
Like
I
he
like
can
Craig. I'm attracted to him.
like, well, I'm giving up a little bit there, right? I'm not with the specifically with the DJ thing. I think if we really thought that Amanda was going through it, some of the things that we would be hearing from her are like, we live in New York City. I feel better when he's next to me and I'm sleeping. I worry about him when he's out DJing. You know, I do know that he's drinking, and that means that he's getting in an Uber alone and he's walking home alone. And we do live in the city. Like, literally, if she actually cared about the DJing thing and him, I think we would be hearing things like that because that's,
Yeah.
as a wife, that would be what I would be saying. My husband now has a job where he has to literally be on the road at 4 a.m. with a. I'm worried. I liked sleeping with him. We never hear Amanda saying any of that. All we hear Amanda saying is like publicly, she didn't sign up to be a
Oh,
DJ's
why?
wife.
Yeah.
And like public it, and so that's where I go, yeah, I don't really think then you're caring about the Kyle of it all. I think for you, you think this is cringe.
Yeah.
You're 36, he's 44. You do have an age gap between you where it's like he's more of an elder millennial, if not heading into Gen X. You're a millennial. You're looking at him like, ew, gross dad. This is more
He's
about
like
her.
trying to be cool by being a DJ.
This
I agree.
is him encroaching on her cool girl status for the first time ever.
Well,
And
that's what
and
I'm saying about
her
the financial thing. If she actually cared, I think she should get to a place of seeing,
yes.
at least in his mind, why it's making sense, why this is
Yes.
enabling his other business, you know?
Right,
Like,
right. Sorry, it took me a long time to get there. Sorry, I couldn't think of that. But I'm like, yeah, the thing about Amanda and Kyle is that we never hear about the love. We never hear it's always him telling her, you don't have any ambition. You don't have, and it's like, yeah, but she's also just your wife. Do you not just love her? Do you
yeah.
not just love her? Like, I get that you want someone to be ambitious, but you didn't marry her for her ambition. Like, that was, I don't think that anyone ever thought Amanda was an ambitious person.
No. So,
Bed bug. I mean, like that, she made her whole platform about laying in bed. I don't know. It's crazy to me.
which I actually was going to ask you about this because I didn't watch this from the beginning. Because what do they call them again? They're
The bed bugs.
The bed bugs, right.
Yeah.
Do you know the reason that they are in bed all the time?
Because they don't want to film. If they're in bed, they don't have to film.
No,
And that started with Hannah, who
that
has
is not.
since left the show.
Apparently, that is not why.
Why?
They're getting high all the time.
Oh no, that too. Oh, that too.
I saw that's where the whole term came from. Because like when
Okay.
everyone was getting ready to go out and get drunk and whatever,
Yes.
those
Yes, they're
girls
hitting the pen.
they just retreat to the room and like and get high. And then that's why they're in bed. I didn't know that. But now that I know that, and if you actually pay attention, they kind of show things here and there where you can sort of see that like
Yes.
that's what's going on all the time in the background. Kind of cracks.
Okay, well, I will say this. I will say this. Like this episode with West. I don't know if it's just ganja, but we're into some substances that are not uppers at that point. Like Wes was not in his body. We've seen
Yeah,
Wes
that was
get
weird.
drunk over and over and over again. We know what that looks like. He was either fighting his way through some sort of K-hole or I'm not sure, but it definitely wasn't like it wasn't a stimulant of any
Yeah.
sort. Go back to the conversation at the dinner table with Sierra and Maya and KJ about what it's like to be okay. And then we're sitting there and he's moving his chair closer to her. And that drove me crazy for so many
Yeah.
reasons. But paramount to all of them was like a white man's ownership over a black woman's body.
Yeah.
Him feeling like he can do that. And obviously, some people are going to say, like, well, because she's giving him the signals that he can do that. Okay. I don't know if she was in that particular moment.
And
But
him
he
doing it at the
feels
house
like
was weird too. When they were playing the game and he's like, hold up. It was very strange.
he feels like because I've touched you once, I can touch you again. I have ownership over your body. I didn't like that at all. And it brings me back to like, yeah, this is why like date white men fine, but like you need to be dating someone who has a better handle on what all of this means because I don't think Wes has any idea how to move correctly
No.
with Sierra.
Nor do I think he cares though, which is the other.
Yeah, it's fair too. He doesn't care. He's getting it from left, right, and center. He doesn't
Well,
care.
speaking of not caring, that's actually a great segue because I really have been waiting all week to rip Austin a new one for his behavior and commentary on the Southern Charm reunion this week. He's a piece of shit. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it. Here's the thing. I actually over the years have gone back and forth on Austin. I've never hated him. You know, like there's definitely he has redeeming qualities, and especially depending on what is happening with the Craig and Shep dynamic, there have certainly been times where I am way more on Austin's side than anyone else. But he really lost me on this reunion because he was the epitome of the double standard that has driven this show for so long. I think honestly, if they had to rename the show, like if back all of those years ago, they could have just called it Double Standard. Because this week I was home and didn't realize the TV was still on and they were airing old episodes of Southern Charm. So I looked up and I had the pleasure of seeing Catherine's face again and Cameron and they were all out together and Chelsea and what's the short blonde hair who was Catherine's friend who was always getting on her for her behavior. She was a little older. She'd kind of like buggy eyes.
Danny.
The scene with them, right? And I was like, oh, the good old days, right? But it was making me think back to like a lot of the things that happened with Catherine and a lot of the behavior that she was kind of dragged through the mud for that was very similar to things that like Craig and Austin were doing at the time, right? But this back and forth this week with Sally was very, very, very hard to watch. And I think that I have not been quiet about my issues with Sally, and I still think that she is a massive part of the problem here. But I do not believe that she deserves the treatment that she got on this reunion. The baffling thing to me is knowing that she is still probably somewhere hanging out with Austin getting a beer right now. I would have been cutting him off after this little display. Some of the things that he revealed, I think, in terms of how he thinks about her was just so gross. Like, There's no other word for it. I feel like Austin started off thinking that if he just kind of kept deflecting and deflecting, he wasn't going to have to get into why he's not really interested in Sally. But to Madison's credit, she pushed him into the corner, right? And I think that's where Madison does a great job. We've talked about this before. Madison is the show. She knows how to push buttons so that we actually get good television. That's what happened. Austin definitely thought, I'm going to shut the F up. I think I'll give him credit for that. I think in his mind, he's like, the less I say, the better, blah, 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 blah. And Madison was like, no, 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 no. We are going to finally get to the quick of why you and Sally are not a thing. And here's what you've told me. I love that she just straight up outed him.
And I've been saying it for weeks. I've been saying it for weeks. I'm going to clip every time I said it because I think I said it 3 times. I know I've said it more specifically about Shep. But basically what they did on that stage was call Sally the town bicycle. And damn, but that is what I always said. He'll never take her seriously because of the Shep of it all. Like, you're not
You
going
did
to
say that last
Eskimo
week. I remember.
brother. Like, I'm sorry. It's just how men are. And so, yes, this week was more about like there, I guess, are the scent of mini wolves on Sally. But in general, that's just it.
That's why Craig is still so broken up about Paige. None of those guys
Deep.
had ever touched Paige.
Deep.
He found himself a Northeast princess, brought her down into the South, and it was great for him because he was like, ha 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 ha, you're never
And
gonna get
she
it.
never
Never
even
had it, never gonna
flirted.
get it.
She never even laughed at Austin's jokes. Like, that's the thing too.
Wouldn't
Like,
give Shep the time of day.
no, everything that they do charms everyone, and then you have Paige who's charmed by nothing and no one, and they hated her for that.
I think that's where, again, Austin, I think, could have handled it in a different way. That being said, I feel like we also have to allow him to have his own feelings and opinion, and that's okay. Lots of men don't want that, right? Where Austin has gone wrong here, he probably should have never opened up himself to this casual relationship with Sally. I think that is what is complicating this situation, right? If he had just made her a wing woman, a true friend, we're gonna go out together, we're gonna party together, we're gonna whatever, he would be coming out scot clean right now. Because then he could have stood up there in a more respectful way and said what he said. And I think the audience would have been more on his side. Okay. Look, Sally, we're friends. At the end of the day, I am still hoping to find somebody with a slightly different lifestyle than you. Okay. And that would have been fine. The reason he's a piece of shit is because he's sleeping with her and talking about her like this. That is so messed up. And she's allowing it to happen.
She's just, I mean, and I'm sorry, but like, I'll give Sally credit for not, she didn't like overreact visibly. Physically, she didn't overreact on the stage. I'll give her credit for being
very composed, I will say.
Thank you. I'm forgetting my words this morning. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. She's incredibly composed. However, that composure a little bit came off to me like she doesn't know what's going on. Like, even with Madison saying what Madison said, I love Madison, to your point. Like, yes, I'm Team Madison. However, if I'm Sally, I'm also looking at Madison a little bit. Like, if I'm on stage, I'm saying to Madison, like, first of all, fuck you. Second of all, fuck you. Like, I'm mad at both of them for having that and I'm addressing them.
Friend. Yeah.
Right. And Sally's just kind of sitting there like, that's not true at all. I'll do your laundry. And I'm like, Sally, stand up. Like, we don't need more of that. We've had enough of that on this show. And it is kind of sad because then we have Molly sitting there and it's like, what is Molly doing? Like, at this point, it's like she's been totally underutilized. Charlie, oh my God, Charlie even more so. It's like the women on year after year on Southern Charm, it does feel like the women are just fodder. Whereas on Summer House, one could argue, especially with the inclusion of Lindsay Hubbard, they are running that show. They are not to be treaded on.
Well, Summer House has long been about the men, so I do think we have to accept that. And I do think that's why people still watch, because it's sort of a juxtaposition to all of the other
it's even in the he's got more honeys than any honeybee. It's about the men.
100%. So I think that part we have to accept, but I don't think that means that the women that are on have to constantly be demeaned, you know? It's also
Mm.
interesting. I know they won't have this conversation, but the Austin and Sally of it all ties back to the Craig and Charlie of it all, right?
Yes.
And that
Yes.
that is exactly the same reason why Craig went after Charlie instead of Sally.
Right.
Charlie was like, ooh, special, new, fresh, whatever, that certainly Shep was not going to be able to get any of that. That was obvious.
Right.
Craig saw that. He's like, okay, great. Austin, nothing there, like, so it's just the fact that
And
Sally
I
can't see
think
that, I think is sad.
to your Northeastern princess and the Bahamas of it all, these men have to fly in women from other locations in order to find women that haven't slept with each other.
I
That's
mean,
just the fact. If I'm Craig and I want to find a woman who hasn't slept with Austin, I need to go outside of the place that I
yeah,
live because everyone there was this
Sally just
TikTok.
needs to leave Charles.
Wait, hold on. There is this TikTok that I'm not gonna repost it, but I'm just gonna, okay, so it's like, those like on the street
Yeah.
interviewers. So it's like on the street interview, it's this woman, but she's at like a rodeo, okay? And she's interviewing these two guys. I don't know if it's real. I think it's real. I think it's real because these two guys, I really feel like these were just two guys at the rodeo. And so she's like, "What's something crazy that like only like this guy knows or something?" And the guy goes, "I've been in more threesomes with this guy than I've been with any women." And the interviewer's like, "Again?" I immediately
No.
did think of Shep, Craig,
No.
Austin. I'm sure there is some stuff, even the Madison, the tape of Austin coming out of that room with those two women. I am
Yeah.
sure these men have done some things together that also, it's like people always, not people, but yes, no, people on TikTok, they'll say like, I don't understand. The whole season was about them fighting, and then we jump to watch what happens live, and it's Austin and it's Craig and it's Shep and they're drinking and they're having fun. And I'm like, you guys,
They're
they've
always having
buried
fun.
bodies in deserts together. It's quite possible the three of them have killed someone before.
I mean, we'll never know. I think that was also the really interesting thing too, since we've been reviewing the whole season, but the reunion was 10 times more interesting than the entire season. And I don't actually think that's a good thing. Like, I was 30 minutes into the
I
reunion and just was
agree.
like, this is wildly more entertaining than what we've been watching. So,
I
in the
agree with
one
you.
sense, you're like excited because you're like, oh, we're finally getting some entertaining stuff here. But then you're also like, well, then what was the point of that entire season we just watched?
I completely agree.
I am very much not interested in the Craig of it all, I'll be honest. Like it's weird because I feel like a lot of times where you have someone like behaving like that throughout the season, the reunion is that opportunity for, vindication, and you kind of want to see that person have to take accountability. But I think I've just been watching him for so long that I just am not interested really in
I don't think
seeing
that
him be held to account. And I think it's because of the point you just made that it's not going to matter. They're all still
Right.
going to hang out. They're all still going to be on the show next week. So like this whole like, okay, we're going to spend half the episode, trying to get Craig to admit that he's a piece of shit. Like it's not going to happen.
I
So
get annoyed.
on.
I
And
get
then I
annoyed.
saw preview that Vanita's going to apologize to him next week. And
Okay.
I'm just like, I can't.
Okay. This is my annoyance on two things. One, Summer House. And I said this before, but I'm gonna say it again. Summer House. We're having a whole storyline, or at least a two-episode storyline arc about Amanda not having ambition and smoking weed, but then you're literally coming out with a THC flower boy drinkable THC drink, and yet that never comes up on a storyline. That juxtaposition or just that idea that never comes up. That's one. Then you move over to Southern Charm, same idea. The whole season is about the Austin and the Craig of it all. Meanwhile, real time on Instagram, I don't know what it was, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, they're opening an event center together, not the restaurant that they own
Yeah.
together, not by the way, right?
Yeah.
This is a completely new endeavor. It's an event center in Charleston. So it's also just like, but then bullshit. Then you have to talk about that. Then you have to talk about the Pillows and Beer podcast and the end of that. Then you have to talk about By the Way and the event center then and how all of that plays into your relationship. I just this is I said this last week with Charlie and maybe getting more of a season, right? it's and or Vanita not having any friends. I'm getting a little concerned, or not concerned, but just we're not seeing, we're only, it feels very scripted at this point, I guess is the best way to say it.
Well, and I think it is, like so Salt Lake City is filming this week. They were out in San Francisco for St. Patty's Day. So
I saw
clips coming out, and I saw one where they were like, wow, I didn't realize it was all this kind of scripted, rehearsed, because it was them out in San Francisco where production had actually stopped them across the street and was like, hold, ladies, and then it was like, okay, go now, right? And then they crossed the street. And so I do think it's that reminder of like, yeah, this is not just happening, right? Like there's direction being given here. They're interrupting some of these scenes to course correct what's being discussed. So I think we are probably at the most scripted point. But that being said, to your point, if things are going to be scripted
make them better.
Like, I mean, if this
Lord knows there's so many writers out of work.
If we're going to be given like production direction, like let's steer that towards the things that we actually would want to see then, or the things that are,
I don't know. Oh my God, you know what that made me think of when you were saying that? That I saw behind the scenes of Amazing Race, and they're like, first of all, there's like 10 cameras around them, and they like rip the envelope, and then they start running, and production was like, we didn't get it. And they hand him another envelope, and they rip it again, and I was like, oh.
Bummer.
This is a few things I want to say. It was really funny to me how Andy at a certain point we start that reunion, cameras up, everyone is frothing at the mouth to go after Greg.
I know.
Andy's got his cards. He's still trying to introduce people. They're just there. So that was really funny to me. And then the only other thing that I wanted to get your reaction on, and I guess it doesn't even really matter because they've presented him in a way where I guess we're not supposed to care about him. But I don't understand the inclusion of Rod. Is Rod, now someone did say on TikTok that Rod has a speech impediment, which is maybe sometimes why it appears that he's slurring. I also think Rod comes off as either drunk or high on top of
he does. But
that potential.
I do like Rod.
What are we doing with him?
I don't know, but I like that he's around, and I like his commentary, and I like that he does get in there sometimes.
But just be fuck buddies.
Just sort of say the right thing to keep the scene moving. Like, I do think he's helpful with that. He'll kind of cut to the quick a little bit. So
yeah,
we'll see. We still have, I think, at least 2 more episodes of the reunion. So maybe we're gonna get more of Rod. Potentially
something. I think, yeah, big takeaways for me are just basically Madison looks great.
Madison looks amazing.
And good for her.
Yeah, she looks so good. And I also will be very interested to see if Whitner gets brought back as well. But I think that he's definitely trying to get asked back based on his behavior for the first reunion.
Like, if we gave JT Yeah, if we gave JT 2 seasons, I think we can give. If we gave Luke from Summer House 3 seasons, we can give Whitner another one.
I was happy we finally got the answer from Sally, though, as to why they are not interested in him. That was really good. And if he talks about himself so much, I would have loved to have seen more of that, so that
I know
stood as an audience. Yet again, another weird thing that could have been included that wasn't.
You definitely know, though, what was clear to me from being at Itchy Grass with Whitner is that his parents, like, I know people like his parents, where it's like they are so nice, not even overly nice. It's just they're so welcoming and they really know how to host people and they make you feel very much whatever. And then that door closes and it is a world of judgment that comes down on your head. I do believe that. Like, I do believe that mom was like, did you see the trash at that table? Like, I know. And so when you're maybe a man who's been consuming a lot of that, I think that inflates your ego, makes you maybe a little unlovable. I think probably, to be honest with you, all of their moms probably. I think what's clear is that all of these men have moms that were incredibly active in their lives and think that the sun rises and sets on their son's ass.
Austin's mom, for sure.
Certainly Whitney. I mean, I think Pat thinks Whitney can do no wrong, or certainly like she knows Whitney's a joke, but like she'd never say it, you know? So,
which is I also like, where's Whitney? Why can't he show up for the reunion?
I think Whitney has a drug problem.
Yeah, maybe he'll come later on.
Allegedly. Sorry. Hey, was this episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills the mask episode?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Because sometimes I swear I'll watch Beverly Hills is the one that I watch with my phone the most, and then I'll get fed a TikTok clip later,
And
and
then
I'm
you're
like, wait, is this for next week or did I see this week? And I'm like, no,
yeah, they're having a
I
weird season anyways. I feel like, we've been talking about this the last few weeks, but I still feel the same way, which is thank God for Dorit, because I guess there's nothing else going on but centering the entire season around her. And
and her faces.
what's crazy about it too is like Dorit's not even doing that crazy of stuff to be deserving of like not bashing my girl Dorit. I love
Yeah.
her. But I think for me, the disconnect is like she is the center of everyone's conversations. And yet, what is Dorit
What is
herself
going
doing
on?
to be the center of these conversations? Like
Yeah.
the way that they're talking about it is as if it's Dorit from last season, right? Like, because to be fair, right? Last season, she was way more volatile. She was lashing out, right? Like she was highly emotional. I feel like the Dorit this season is pretty cool, calm, and collected, all things considered. And
Yes.
Kyle is driving me absolutely bonkers, trying to make it seem like Dorit is erratic and all these other, and I'm just like, are we observing the same woman? And she keeps, her examples are also frustrating. She keeps bringing up, oh, Dorit's late. Dorit has been late since day
It's
one of joining the
Dorit.
franchise. As a viewer, I'm tired of hearing about it.
It's
So
part of the mystery.
the fact that she's using that as like the example as to why Dorit is off, I'm just like, what are we talking about? This episode for me was a tough one because I feel like to the point of breaking the fourth wall, we reached sort of the peak moment of Kyle's meddling and her attempts at producing the show in real
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
And it's not one making for great television. It's not making her look good either. So I'm not really sure like what her objective is in all of it, but this is one where I will say I am pumped for the reunion. I think
Oh.
Kyle is going to get eviscerated. Some
Mhm.
of these scenes that they're going to pull back up again, like I just cannot wait to see Dorit. I think she's going to be at her finest at the reunion
Mhm.
because what has really struck me, and you saw it a lot with last night's episode, her confessionals are so spot on for identifying what is happening in that exact moment that they're filming. That once she has the whole season to pull from, can you imagine? Like, Kyle better be prepping right now
And
for war.
and okay, it was last week, but it's even these little tiny things where I'm taking notes. I don't want to be cutting like Dorit, but last week when they're talking about the cult and Amanda she goes, "Oh, so we're going to talk about the cult." And Dorit goes, "Is that not what we're doing?" I'm just like, yes, like just those tiny little responses of like, I don't need to be whatever. She's so tight and like she's
It's
so
like, did she
there.
get any media training or something? Like, I
Nicole,
honestly have been wondering.
that's
Like,
what because,
it's
and to your point, like,
unbelievable.
yes, now knowing that she can make that happen in real time, what
it,
about when she
as a
has
viewer, it's not helping Kyle because it's like Dorit is able to identify the BS right away. I mean,
right
what's
away?
crazy about what like Kyle's doing too is that even Amanda sees through it. I mean, that was what really threw me with some of what happened last week is like even Amanda's like, so you're trying to convince me of what I should be feeling and what I should be going and saying. And that was what got stirred up a little bit last night with Dorit calling Sutton out for that behavior of like, you're literally trying to orchestrate how
You
this
are.
conflict is supposed to go. I
Yes.
think it's incredibly validating with Rachel Zoe being back to see her gravitating towards Bose and Dorit because I think it sort of again validates Dorit in a lot of ways of like even Rachel as an outsider is choosing who she wants to spend time with. But the thing that really got me last night was Dorit calling out so expertly Sutton's behavior in
Mm-hmm.
not being sure what side
Mm-hmm.
to take and
Mm-hmm.
finally thinking that she's going to be safer going with the Kyle and Amanda of it all.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
boy, did she miscalculate. I
Right.
would have been working a lot harder to pierce the Rachel Bose triangle if I were
Same.
Sutton than siding with Kyle. Like, it's just crazy work. I also have to say, and this is where again, like, sometimes I wish production would find a way to tease this stuff out, but like, I know we've had our fair share of the Richards sisters arguments and fights and all of that. But it is so clear from these scenes last night that Kathy is on Dorit's side. And I just wish that would get teased out a little bit. Like, why
Uh-huh.
can't we have a little bit of a discussion about the fact that, like, Kathy clearly does not agree with her own sister in this situation?
So that that hits so deeply on the petty root cause of the Kyle and Dorit of it all. Because what it is, if you remember, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, BravoCon, they're on the Bravo stage. Someone
Yep.
asked a question. She said Kathy was her favorite. Kyle, that did because the relationship that
Yep.
Kyle has with her
Never
sisters is
recovered.
so in depth. Never recovered from that. She heard that and she knew every joke has a little bit of truth in it. Why did she say that? And that made, and because all of the deep stuff with probably feeling as though her mother had a favorite and that favorite was most likely Kathy. You know what I mean? Like, even that, not Kathy, Kim, right? Because she was the
Yeah.
breadwinner and the actress who was bringing home all of the money, excuse me. Like even that, there's so many layers, and it's why I think Kyle is so insecure because
Yeah.
I really do think that Kyle was not the forgotten child, but I think Kyle was the one that it's like, yeah, okay, let her act. She's already on, her sister's already here. Let her have a cameo, and I just think that she is so, so insecure. And I think that honestly, one of the things that she has is this show. I do think that she knows she is first seat. She is a
Yeah.
favorite. And I think maybe she is desperate to keep it to some degree because a lot
Oh,
of
for
this
sure.
weeks of desperation that we talked about when we were talking about cast members from Southern Charm trying to just
It is, it's such an interesting examination of envy, I think,
oh my
because
God.
when you look at Kyle and Dorit specifically, like they're both of their personal lives is an absolute mess. And one could
Shambles.
argue that Kyle is in a slightly better position in that she's not arguing with Maurizio. It's not contentious. And that's what I find so incredibly insane watching Kyle's jealousy play out on screen. Because you almost have to take that step back and be like, what are you jealous of? Why are you so jealous of Dorit right now? But that's what it is. It's envy, and I think the thing I keep coming back to is I think it's Dorit's power that ultimately is bothering Kyle. Because as we've established, right, Dorit is struggling a little bit. She's never on time. As Kyle suspects, maybe she's spending too much money. Let's just say all those things are true, right? So in some ways, you're like, why does why is Kyle so bothered by Dorit? And I think it is because of how she is navigating her divorce. Even though things are messy, I feel like Dorit is still staying true to herself and sort of refusing to be abused by PK and used by him in ways that I think Kyle
Well,
already has to a certain extent. Because otherwise, it's just really hard to explain, right? There's clearly something about Dorit and how she's showing up that is irritating the hell out of Kyle, right?
okay, okay. But then I say, to your point, then maybe it is that. Maybe
Yeah.
it is the fact that all things considered, Dorit probably has not loved PK for a year and a half now. I think she's rid herself of the love.
Yeah.
And I think that Kyle has not rid herself of the love. And maybe that's where the envy is that she sees Dorit simply being freer because she's not burdened by the shackles of still being in love with her ex-husband. Whereas Kyle has that pang of like, I do still want to be with Mauricio. And I'm mad that Dorit's in a situation where she's not where I am emotionally. This man does not have the ability to affect her heart. Is he affecting her stress level? Her finances?
Yeah, but she's
Yes.
not feeling that sort of thing.
Mm.
I agree. I think that definitely could be it because to me,
There's
Kyle
heartbreak
is
here.
really showing her ass like right
Yeah.
now in these.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to touch on, that it is definitely, I think, my feelings on this have evolved as the season has gone on, but kind of to the earlier discussion we were having around like, what is production doing and why aren't you teasing things out? I'm really struggling with Amanda because I do actually feel sometimes like I understand where Amanda is coming from in her
Yes.
confusion as to why
Yes.
everything is happening around her the way it's happening, right?
Hmm.
And there are moments where I do sort of understand where she's coming from, or even some of the comments from Sutton and Kyle. But I think where production is really doing us all a disservice is I think two things can be true, okay? I also believe that Dorit, Bose, and Rachel are picking up on something about Amanda that production is not doing a good enough job of showing us.
Hmm.
And I think that's
Hmm.
where it's becoming really
Hmm.
hard to get to like the net of what is actually going on with Amanda and who's right and who's
I
wrong.
agree. I agree.
Because when Amanda starts to talk about the fact that she is showing up, she is being vulnerable, she is sharing parts about her life, that is true. Like in some ways, Amanda is doing a better job as a new housewife than a lot of other new housewives, right? Like she's there, she's willing to be picked apart to an extent, right? She's not handling it very well, but she's showing up as actually
Absolutely.
what I think she believes is her fully authentic self. And I do actually think this is who she is. But what we're not seeing is there's something happening either off camera or maybe even on camera. It's probably more of a feeling or a vibe or in between moments. And that's why it's not registering in the same way. But like where we left off with this week's episode, it is starting to make Dorit and Bose and Rachel feel like the mean girls a little bit because it's like, okay, they're just picking at her and it's all really unfounded.
I agree.
I need production to give us some more of what I do believe my girls are seeing because I trust
Yeah.
Rachel and
It's
Dorit
a
and Bose.
mask slipping.
We need to just tease that out a little bit more because otherwise it is making Amanda come out on top a little bit. And I don't like that because I don't want her to come out on top. I do think there's something weird about her, but I
I
just
know.
think it's being shown to us in the right way. But I don't deny that, like, whatever Rachel and them are picking up on is definitely there.
I agree. I agree. I know. I totally agree with
This
you.
one is a mind fuck. She is a very interesting first housewife use case because it's
Yeah.
not following some of the same pattern dynamics
Well, it's
that
the it,
has in the
hold
past.
on. Hold on. To your point, it's kind of the Whitner of it all. It's like, well, if you feel that way, where is it? Did we not give Whitner enough screen time to see what you're saying, Sally? Or did it not happen? And that's the same thing with Amanda, where it's like we're missing a story there, where it's like we don't like her. We can see that she's taxing to be around, right? Like I
Yeah,
get it. She's annoying. I get it. I get the annoying
she's a little
part.
obnoxious. Yeah,
Yeah, she's a young,
she has that Crystal vibe. She
she's
has
a
punched the
whippersnapper.
wrong way a little bit.
Yeah, and she's looking at all of them like, I don't have to play by these archaic trad wife games that you guys have been playing by. I get where she's coming. It is the Crystal Minkoff of it all, where it's like, I'm 35 and I've done it differently and I'm fine. You
Yeah.
know, I don't need to do it this way. Yeah, I agree. It's
I don't know if we're ever gonna find out, but that was the first time that hit me last night watching it. I was like, there is something here that we're not quite seeing. Even
yeah.
Bose, because that was the whole dispute, and really none of them really got it right, what she actually said, right? I think the actual comment was more about the Pinocchio of it all, right? Being a
Yeah.
liar. And
Yeah.
her saying Amanda, it's like, okay, Bose, so but why? Why do you think
But
of
it's
Amanda as a liar? What has she
right.
lied about, right? Or
Right.
what do you suspect she's lied about that you haven't been able to prove?
Yeah.
I just think we need a little bit more of that because otherwise it's starting to make Kyle look like she's right, which I really don't like. I don't want Kyle
Yeah.
to ever be right. So I
I
don't know.
agree.
I think this Italy trip is sort of heating up a little bit. I saw the preview for next week. It looks like it's going to get a lot worse for Dorit, but
I'm
I
excited.
predict that Dorit is going to have an awesome reunion just because I think a lot of the clips are going to back her up and I think she'll be
Mm,
able to tell her story pretty well, whereas I think Kyle is going to have a harder time explaining why she's been showing so much support to Amanda this whole time.
I
very,
agree.
very odd. I'm trying to think if anything else interesting happened on the episode. I love, a little bit of what we're getting with Rachel and seeing what's happening in her personal life and Dorit showing up for her. Their friendship, I'm really enjoying watching.
Yeah, I agree. I
Awesome.
think it's interesting.
It is interesting. It's
It
entertaining.
is.
Sure.
It is.
And watching them all shop was also entertaining.
Obviously, that's
We
why I
love to,
loved the Rachel Zoe of it all. Bring that back, as I say again.
yeah, show us the
Project, that is.
well, it's quite the week. I look forward to next week when hopefully we will be able to dive in a little bit more on the Taylor Frankie Paul drama because I think that we just need to
Oh,
give it
there's
some
gonna be
time.
more fallout.
There's going to be more stuff coming out.
Oh
So
yeah.
we will keep a close eye. But Rhinestoners, that is another episode.
We're almost at episode 20. I don't know what we're gonna do. Maybe wear something for it. I don't know. We'll think about it.
Yeah, we need to do
We'll
something fun. We've got to fix
Something fun. We need to do something fun for episode 20 and our first 100 followers on TikTok.
Yes.
Okay. I love you, sissy.
Taking stride. Love you too, sissy. Bye, Rhinestoners.
Bye, Rhinestoners. Next time. Bye.